Good afternoon and welcome to the Ask a Naturalist segment with Cleveland Metroparks. I am naturalist Marty Calabrese here at South Chagrin Reservation, the Polo Field. It is a beautiful, crisp fall day. Feel free to let us know where you are tuning in from. We're going to take a walk. We're going to look at a deciduous evergreen. I should call it a deciduous conifer, actually. And we'll also take a look at this curious creature, a woolly bear. Let's see, let's take a closer look here, and whoops, there we go. Hold on now, it's in my hand, and I'd like you to, there we go. Let's let this little buddy wake up as it takes a walk. There we go. Look familiar? This is what we are seeing right now. There's been an explosion of this moth caterpillar, and yeah, I call it a woolly bear. What do you call it? That's what we call it in this part of the country here in Ohio, on the east side of Cleveland. You know what? In Ohio, we even have a woolly bear festival, an annual woolly bear festival, and have been having that since 1973. It's the biggest one in the country. This will be the first year that we do not have it, actually, because of COVID. So we've got this woolly bear here, and it is the larval stage of the Isabella tiger moth. So it goes from egg through metamorphosis to this caterpillar, and then it's going to become a cocoon, but that's next year because it will overwinter as this caterpillar. So take a look at this caterpillar on the right near the head. It does have, actually it has 6 legs, so it's an insect. It's black, brown in the midsection, and then black near the end of it. So the more brown you see, the milder winter will be, or at least that's how the myth goes. But ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to debunk that myth. It's not actually true. Individuals that are related to each other can even look different. And as this individual ages and moves through and molts through the different stages that this caterpillar is going to live through and get bigger and bigger, it will end up becoming more brown in the midsection. So yeah, that's a myth. So it goes through metamorphosis, but as I mentioned, it overwinters as this caterpillar, this beautiful caterpillar, and it actually freezes. So it has a biological cryoprotectant so that the tissues aren't damaged when frozen. Wow, look, so we see 3 pairs of legs. You're getting a good look at its front section there, just behind the head. If you count up those 3 pairs, yeah, it's 6 legs, so it truly is an insect. And again, this is a moth. It's the Isabella tiger moth. Let us know, put in the comments if you've been seeing any of these woolly bears just yet. It's the time of year that their eggs are hatching. Can you believe it? They actually hatch in fall, so there is still life out there as the season winds down. Again, I'm here at the Polo Fields, the beautiful Polo Fields here at South Chagrin Reservation, which lines the Chagrin River, and we're going to take a look at a living fossil, an actual tree. Now this one is the bald cypress, okay? And when I say living fossil, I mean something that has been discovered or described from its fossil record, like the dawn redwood, a closely related tree, meaning it lived 150 million years ago. Some of these species, when they were described to science, were thought of as extinct. They couldn't find any living individuals in the wild, so the dawn redwood is a perfect example of that. The dawn redwood, described to science in 1941 just by its fossil record. And this is a species that I talked about 3 weeks ago at Acacia Reservation. There was some curiosity about that. So I'm going to dive into a related species. A viewer asked about the closely related, also in the cypress family, bald cypress. So the dawn redwood, that's the true living fossil, again, described to science in 1941, thought to be extinct, and then actually discovered growing in the wild in upland central China. And it was 1948 that there was a group of scientists from the United States, too, that went and grabbed seeds and started to grow seedlings, and they were planted in and around Ohio and Cleveland Metroparks. So there are some individual dawn redwoods growing in yards, like in a residence in Shaker Heights. These are towering trees and somewhat deer resistant, by the way. Not necessarily deer proof, but deer resistant. So they're popular, especially to purchase in that seedling stage, fast growing. So those dawn redwoods can grow huge. They're related to the, you might recognize the name redwood. Yeah, they're related to redwoods. There's two others. The coastal redwood, that's the biggest living tree, by the way. It's named Hyperion. It's 380 feet, and they can grow. There's a few that are 3,200 years old. That's right, 3,200 years old. And then there is, actually the oldest one would be the giant sequoia. They're the 3,200-year-old individuals. Also a towering tree, well over 200 feet. Those grow in California and Oregon. So let's take a look here anyways at the bald cypress here at the polo field, because that was the original question. This is the time of year that these needles on this tree, which is related to pine trees, these needles are actually going to start to turn, here we go, start to turn this reddish brown, just like the dawn redwood, and they'll actually fall off. That's why I called it a deciduous tree. Deciduous, meaning the leaves fall off each year, like oaks and maples, whoops, and cherries and other broadleaf trees. So the needles here can tough they can tough out Cleveland's wicked weather. They can make it through the ice and the snow, but it's just part of their own, this tree's individual adaptation, its own evolutionary adaptation to get through the winter. They get rid of their leaves. I mean, that's actually what we're looking at here. This whole bunch of needles, that's a leaf, and these are leaflets. So for me, it's really tricky to tell the difference between a dawn redwood and a bald cypress, but I'll tell you right off the bat, the bald cypress has alternate branching. So as it grows along the branch here, and really upon closer examination, you'd see it, these leaves come out alternate of each other. So what I mean is, if it is alternate, so it's growing, sends off a branch to the left, growing, sends off a branch to the right, or it's a twig, the branch is growing and then it sends off a twig to the left and then a twig to the right. The dawn redwood, by comparison, is opposite branching, so that's one of the key characteristics. I also wanted you to see and notice these cones. So both the dawn redwood and the bald cypress they do have cones. They're conifers, that's why they are deciduous conifers, but these cones are actually round. Very unusual for my eyes to see round cones. They take months to mature, so they start off with that green that we're seeing here, and they're not going to be turned brown and crispy and open up for another few months. And I just wanted to, for the comparison of a familiar tree, let's take a quick walk here. Now I'm actually headed towards the Chagrin River. Again, here at the Polo Field, South Chagrin Reservation. South Chagrin Reservation drains both to the Cuyahoga River, that's a portion of South Chagrin, and then the majority of the acreage, the over 1,600 acres of South Chagrin Reservation drains to and contributes to the nearly 300 square mile watershed of the Chagrin River. I'm looking for a white pine. No, that's not it. That's another one of those deciduous conifers. And we're going to take a close look at this white pine. It has long, flimsy, blowing in the wind needles. This is a familiar pine tree because when looking at trees like the bald cypress and dawn redwood, it's helpful to compare that with something. So let's take a look here at this pine tree. So as you move up this trunk, you can see a big whirl of branches and then another whirl of branches. Do you see that? Throw in the comments if you actually see it. That is it takes your eyes a minute to adjust, but the reason I'm showing you this, it's a cool trick. That's 1 year of life right there. Fast growing tree. So we've got a whirl of branches and then bloop, 1 year of life, and then another whirl of branches, and then another whirl of branches. Really cool trick to see how quickly it grows year by year. But we came over here because I wanted you to see some of these needles on this white pine, also known as the Weymouth pine in some other countries. But this white pine, if you are separating a group of these needles, first of all, they're several inches long, very flimsy. Well, you know, that's really tricky here. I really want you to, maybe here, hold on a second now. And this is an evergreen, right? So what are all these needles doing on the ground? Well, the deal with evergreens is that they are always losing their needles, as opposed to losing their leaves and needles all at once in the fall, like an oak tree. All right, so how many needles do you see there? Actually, I only see 4. It's breaking its own rule. All right, so the white pine, let me find another. This is a group of needles on this white pine. Let me try to separate it in my fingers. Oh, that's tricky. Hold on a second. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it has 5 needles per, see how they're all attached there, right there? It's a group. You call it a fascicle. 5 needles per fascicle. That is your telltale way to identify Pinus strobus, the white pine. Anyways, this is one of those cool trees, you know, just a juggernaut of the lumber industry. And it can anything from pulp for paper to the to telephone poles, really. So we're going to close it up here. Each week we've got these Ask a Naturalist sessions now, quicker than our previous sessions. They could, you know, just maybe 5-10 minutes. So you can pop some questions in the comments there, and I'll try to address those in the weeks to come. And I'm going to start to think about some other creatures and animals and plants to identify over the next few weeks to months. Again, I'm Naturalist Marty Calabrese from the Polo Field and South Sugarland Reservation. We looked at the woolly bear caterpillar at the top of the segment there, and that's going to be turning into that Isabella tiger moth. And then we took a closer look here at this bald cypress by comparison to the dawn redwood, which is what we looked at Acacia Reservation just 3 short weeks ago. And when looking at the dawn redwood, somebody said, now wait a minute, what about the bald cypress? Because they're in that same Cupressaceae family, the same cypress family. So I'll be signing off now. Bye, everybody. I will see you next week from a different location in Cleveland Metroparks on a new topic, perhaps suggested by you.